We are based in Barcelona. We are a tech academy for women and by women. But really now our students are all around the world. We have a student, as I said before, in London, in Berlin, one in New York even. We have courses of UX, UI designer. We have data science. We have product management, and we have data analytics. And also we will start to have a bootcamp in web development. That is a very new thing, and it's wonderful to have that. And today we have Cristina. We try to organize this type of talk for our audience, our community, Women in Tech. Today we have Cristina. She's a product manager in Mano Mano, and she also is a speaker, a keynote, and is a former entrepreneur, and she will be talking about how to build the right product and user research and MVPs. Yeah.
Okay. So hi everyone. As Ines told you, I'm Cristina. I've been a former founder, and for the last 3 years, I've worked in startups, and now in a larger, not so much startup, which is Mano Mano. I don't know if you know Mano Mano. Mano Mano is a marketplace for do-it-yourself and home improvement. And basically, what we do, we sell this type of products online. We are a marketplace. And I would definitely recommend you to check it out. And if you want the discount code, let me know if you need it. One of what I'm going to share with you today is it's throughout my experience. I'm not a user researcher, but as you probably know, as product managers who work in the industry, product management is between user experience, business, and tech. So we are right at the middle point of these areas. So we have to know a little bit of everything, no? At the end of the day, in order to be able to build the right product. So what I'm going to start with you, sharing with you, is a use case, a specific story, and from there I will give you some tips on how to improve that specific process. Processes, whenever building products, it's definitely something that are something that can define the success of a product or its failure. So that is my main objective for the day, and I do hope that you get this many insights, takeaway that you can apply in your jobs or in your future jobs. So let's get started. So for instance, let's imagine that we have a very specific problem. Everything starts with a problem, and normally in our companies that we work for, we normally get we get from the companies the metrics that we need to impact. Everything we do in a company, as it's money driven and benefits driven, it has to have an impact. So I'll just share with you, this is a hypothetical case. So let's imagine that customers' churn rate is high. I don't know if you know what is customers' churn or churn as a metric, but normally it's sellers who don't normally come back. Customers in this case, sorry. This is because I work in the seller side on Mano Mano. So sellers is on my daily basis. I talk all the day about sellers. So, but yeah, I just focus on the customers on this side. So definitely this is one of the metrics that can define the success of a company or its benefits or not. So we have this problem, and the company is telling us that we need to reduce this churn. So it's definitely what we do in this case is the company gives us very specific OKRs. So this is all hypothetical, okay? We are not saying that we are doing this at Mano Mano, and towards the end you'll learn why. So normally you get the OKRs from the company, and you normally just you get your team and start to work on the solution. Okay, what should we do in order to improve this metric? How can we reduce churn? So you get with your team, you get with your UX, if you have a data analyst, and definitely you decide together what is the solution. So normally when you work with OKRs, you define specific initiatives. and then you nicely organize them and prioritize them. So yes, this is you have the ideas, you have the initiatives, and normally from the way companies are organized, or in terms of product management, you have a roadmap, so you need to feed your roadmap, and basically it's mostly based on data or in very specific initiatives to impact a specific metric. So basically this is how everything starts. And you have this huge list, you have your timeline for your roadmap, and you're already working on the solution, no? So probably a solution that you may think of, for instance, in order to reduce churn is, you may think, okay, my customers are not coming back. Maybe a more personalized experience will make customers to come back and buy again. So all of this is based on hypotheses you have. Unfortunately, this is one of the most common cases, no? And that you base your input or your initiatives on the hypothesis. And the problem starts when you don't realize that. When you don't realize that your initiatives or your ideas or the objectives or whatever you've put on the roadmap is based on hypothesis. So so the issue is that you have already it's companies are very, how would I say, solution driven, no? And ourselves, if we have to think, when we try to find a job, we will always come up with, oh, I'm solution driven. It seems that it's something that is very celebrated, no? To solve problems, no? So definitely everything starts with, you have the solution, you have a roadmap, and you already start working it. So I'm sharing with you this experience because I've learned it the hard way myself. So working on a solution straight away, and of course this also kind of feeds our ego. We think we are great and we have the greatest idea, and we start working on it, and we get people on board. For example, you normally need to convince your manager, or you convince the company that is the right initiative to work on. So you're already working on it, and you're implementing it. So you are spending time, money on something that the problem is that you haven't checked which is the problem. Okay, so sorry for redundancy. You have started with a solution and you haven't really checked the problem. So what should we do in these cases? So OKR and initiatives, I'm just saying this because it's very general for companies to work with this type of model. And OKRs and initiatives are received for failure without user research and feedback. But what is user research? No, and how important is it? Iteration, feedback, and getting feedback. Everything starts with why. You need to know what is the problem. Okay, why do we have a low churn rate? Sorry, in this case, a high churn rate. How can I improve that? What is happening to my customers? Why are my customers leaving? No, so this is not okay. We have to impact in a very specific metric, or we need to have a roadmap, or we need to have our KPIs. No, basically what you need is to step back and really find the solution. So if you are taking the data and data is telling you, okay, the churn is very high, you need to start from there. You need to figure out why. Okay, so the problem is that we normally quickly start on solutions, and we have the greatest people, and they have the greatest idea. So we kind of buy it. No, if we do this, this will happen, and this will be great. But all of this is hypothesis. And if you come up with a solution, which would be, okay, let's offer a more personalized experience, which I'm not saying is wrong. But the problem is if they don't need that, and you base that in a very specific hypothesis. So this being said, probably your customers in that case, they needed something else. They needed a frictionless checkout. Maybe what would be, for example, when they are buying, the main reason that they are not coming back is that they have a lot of issues to insert, for instance, let's see, the dress. Or it's very painful to pay. So it's not an easy process, as we are used nowadays to have very, I don't know, one-click shopping with Amazon, or very specific, how would I say, specific companies who offer like a very frictionless experience. when we find ourselves with friction whenever we, not only buying, but also when you sign up for a contest, or also when we have to fill up a paperwork. If it's painful and it's taking us time, we're definitely not going back. Okay, so what you need to look, especially is churn is also related to NPS. Okay, so NPS, I don't know if you know the terms, Net Promoter Score. Basically, it's organizing customers in different categories. One is the promoter. So probably, if you know, at the very end of when you're doing buying something, you probably sometimes get from 1 to 10. Would you recommend this to your friends? So if you say 10, 9 to 10, you are a promoter, which means you would definitely recommend that to a friend or a relative. And if you just go to say 8, 7, 8, it's a passive. You don't really care, and probably that platform hasn't made an impact on you. And definitely you have the detractors, the one who probably are the ones who are leaving and not coming back. Okay, so this is another metric that you should definitely measure, and it's somehow related to the churn one, the one at the very beginning I mentioned to you. So what can you do here? What can you do in order to learn more about the issues or the problem that the customers have? So we started with a very wrong process of kind of get driven by the company processes. Okay, OKRs, initiatives, and so on and so forth. I need to have a roadmap, whatever. And the other way around is the one I will explain you next. So I don't know if definitely the detractors are the customers where you can learn the most from. Okay, because are the ones who probably will be honest with you and will tell you why they had a bad experience, and at the same time will provide insights. Maybe the promoters who say that everything is all right, they don't really focus on other specific things, but you, at the end of the day, you're working to make everyone happy. So you need to make the detractors happy because you want more customers and you want customers to come back. So I was reading the other day something very interesting about we focus a lot in our users, which is great, but what about the non-users? So what about all this vast majority who's out there and it's not buying our product, not using our platform, not using our application? Okay, so this is something that you also have to consider. Okay, we focus on our users, but we also need to focus on the ones who probably are not using it, and why. You need to find out why, in order to expand your business. So and of course get more benefits for the company and increase the customers. So this is a very specific case, and I've been in companies where this has happened. I've been in very small startups where I don't know, the founder of the company or someone in the company will say, we have this idea. I don't know if you know the term of highest paid person in the room, no, the hippo. So I have this great idea, we should do it. But it was a hypothesis. And to be honest, I ended up leaving those places because we were not customer centric. Okay, we were building stuff just out of the blue because we thought it was a good idea, and we never talked to customers. I think definitely the greatest product that we are using right now is because there is a huge research behind them. Okay, so definitely that's something to bear in mind. So let's see, how can we improve this process? What can we do in order to get a better feedback from our users and build the right solutions, if so? And everything starts with the problem. We need to understand what the problem is, what's the customer issue. Okay, it's not about a specific metric. Is about metrics will improve later if you know what your users need. Okay, so never start with the solution. Start with the problem. And I think instead of being a problem solver, which is great, it's fantastic, but I think we have to be more like problem searchers, okay? To find the problem, or problem researchers, to really go into the problem and not just jumpstart to solutions. And I think we also do it in our daily lives. We do it if we start a business, and we do it. Unfortunately, I've done it myself in product management now, so I had to learn it the hard way. And I learned it when I implemented a feature and I didn't have enough data to back it up. And basically, it just came up in a meeting, and we say, okay, this idea is fantastic, and it will improve our retention. So we started to build a feature, and we had the team on board, and we got the, and we were doing a functionality for a month. And then when we put it in production, when we launched it to users were not using it. We are not using it as we expected, no? So it can happen, there can be different ways of, or either they don't use it, or they are not using it as we expected them to use it. In fact, if you have to think, for instance, Slack, in the very beginning was a solution for gamers in the very, very beginning. And by studying the way how people were using the platform, it became what is it today, a communicative tool. So this is definitely super important for you to bear in mind, okay? It's not easy because you need to kind of, we have our own biases, so we need to double check on ourselves before we jumpstart, we start with solving a solution, okay? So definitely what it sits at the very core of this is user research and discovery, not OKRs, okay? So sometimes we get drawn by the company rules, but what we have to do, what our stakeholders ask from us, what our job is supposed to mean. So although I'm sure that you learned this, if you're doing a course or you're already getting information about it or learning about it, I'm sure that everyone tells you this, no, to start with the problem. But one thing to be aware of is when you start working, you have so many things to handle in your daily day as a product manager, and then sometimes you just forget about your users. You just start in your work doing your own stuff and your daily operations, and you forget about users. And it's mandatory. User research takes a lot of time, and you should definitely put time aside and yes, convince the company you work for that this is crucial. Okay. So how can you build the right product or improve the problem you're having, or find the right solution? As I'm saying, talk to customers. For instance, if you're thinking, maybe some of you are entrepreneurs and thinking to, okay, I want to start this new business. This is probably the most common, right? Because in product management, you're normally you have to have very specific results, and somebody is following them, and you need to have approval for many at the company level to be able to spend 3 months on something. But yes, when you are a business founder and you're thinking of ideas, and I've seen people investing a lot of money, like starting a company, hiring developers, and starting working on something that was not really useful. So what you need to know, the pain you are solving, okay? If you are solving a pain. So what you need to also ask yourself, is my product or functionality that is a painkiller or a vitamin? So for instance, in product management, you are trying normally to increase adoption of the highest adoption of a feature. It's the most important for you. If functionality is not being used, it's better to remove it and not have it there if it's not serving users. And also the same for a business. If you're starting something, especially if you're starting a business or thinking of starting a business, you need to ensure that your product is a painkiller and not a vitamin, because normally if you have a very users are paying for painkillers. Okay, vitamins you pay now and off. So yeah, when I had my business, I had this friend who asked me this question: is your product a painkiller or a vitamin? And to be honest, I wasn't unable to to answer back then. Okay, so this is very important to ask yourself. And the only way to know that is asking your user. You may think it's the right solution, but maybe it's not. Maybe as we before thought, okay, a personalized experience, it's a vitamin. Okay, it's fantastic. All of us, we love to, I don't know, go back to our Amazon and check out what we bought previously and rebuy it. No, it's easier, not have to do the search again, and so on and so forth, to have a list of favorites. But what about the painkiller? What you definitely need is when you're buying something to ensure that you on the checkout you are not having issues, or maybe the platform ensures that you have put the right address, because if not, there is a mess. So basically, this is the first point, and I will tackle it later. And then the second point is build an MVP. So when we're saying, in order to validate ideas, validate hypotheses, and that's what we're trying to do, is build an MVP. And an MVP is basically can be as basic as I don't know, as a Google form or as a survey. Okay, it doesn't have to be anything fancy and not a state-of-art development who takes months to implement. In fact, I was also at the company for a long time, and our idea of MVP was, I don't know, spending 3 months building something. So it's not what you want. You want to validate your idea, your hypothesis, or at least the problem space. And the best way to do it is to have a solution to it. If it's a very basic one, it's okay. It doesn't happen. It will already give you insights. So in order to do all this process of learn, build, and measure. Okay. So what I'm going to talk to you is the way to talk to customers. You need to know them inside out. So one of the good ways to do this is through interviews and surveys to learn more about their needs or their pains. But it's also very tricky because sometimes users don't know their specific pains. So yes, focus groups, empathy maps. You can find that online if you to learn more about your user. I don't know, buyer personas. So basically, and also MVPs, because MVPs are require an action normally from the user, or at least there's some kind of interaction with it. So you will get insights on that. So one thing I would like to share with you is my experience so far in doing user interviews. I've done it where I am right now at Mano Mano, and I did it back in past, which are a very great source of knowledge, to say so. And it helps you to frame better the problem, which we're trying to do here. So whenever you're doing user interviews, you need to have a specific research goal in mind. So what I'm trying to learn here, okay? What is my issue here? So it's not like, okay, I'm just going to talk to customers. Let's see what they see, what they say, how is it going? It's very broad. I mean, you'll definitely get some insight, but it's too broad. So you need to have a specific. Okay, so let's see. Excellent. And then we have another thing. Whenever you're preparing user interview, you're preparing questions that you're going to handle in order to grasp or get the insights of the knowledge. So this is being said is whenever you're doing interviews, you need to ensure that you are not doing non-leading questions, which is the confirmation bias that we are after. So if you already go with the users with the solutions in mind, so for example, imagine our solution needs get to learn more about the personalized experience. For instance, we probably ask the question in a specific way that it confirms it. So for instance, if you ask a user, do you see this functionality useful? Or do you think isn't personalization providing you a better experience? This is already biasing the person you are interviewing, because you are putting words like useful putting much better experience. So of course the interviewee sees you as an expert. So who is the interviewee to say, okay, no, this is not providing a much better experience, or this is not useful. So this is a way to approach it. So it's very important to not try to get the answers you want from your users, because sometimes if we go with a solution in mind already, we are looking for data in order to confirm our hypothesis, and it's not the best way to do it. Okay, and also another thing is to avoid closed questions, like or yes and no questions. Would you use this functionality if we build it? For example, this question, I think it happens a lot to business owners or someone who starts a business, and probably they're worried about their market fit, or they're worried about making money with that functionality if they're spending money on it. So getting a yes to this question is not providing you any useful information, because you don't know if that person is going to pay. Saying yes, it doesn't exactly mean that they're going to use it. Okay, so yes. Then will a more personalized experience make you come back? So yes, this is also a very close question. What you need to go for whenever you're doing user research is mostly to ask broader questions. For instance, why are you doing this? So for example, I don't know, I normally I'm having problems with this, so you need to ask why. And the same whenever we get when we get a request of a specific functionality, within our company. For instance, imagine there is a very specific stakeholder who comes to you. I want to build this functionality, because this customer is requesting for it. You need to go for the why. And the same with the users. For instance, broader questions or broader insights would give you, can you show me how you do this? For instance, if you see how users are interacting with your app or with your website, definitely that's a fantastic learning curve. For instance, we have Hotjar, and we have all these tools or user testing that allow you to see how users are interacting with it. And seeing the behavior of the user, I'm telling you, it's very different of what they normally say. So doing and saying is different, two different things. So this is what I would like to for you to focus. Also, it's very useful whenever you're doing user interviews. Makes them feel very comfortable with you, and also at the same time, don't be afraid of making pauses. Okay, like leaving some how would I say, because sometimes they are afraid to talk, and a pause helps them to give you more insights or continue on with the conversation. Because we have all this capacity to we want to fill the emptiness. So yeah, this is what I would like for you to focus, and try to avoid the confirmation bias, and try to get to be as open with your questions to gather the knowledge and insight. So what another things I would like to mention also related to user research is I have some disclaimers for you. Normally, what you need to take into account, do not take a few users' replies as representative. So for example, normally, yes, focus groups are kind of reduced, but that doesn't mean that it applies to all your type of customers. So the best thing to do is to definitely know your buyer personas, to definitely know your users, and be able to specifically get this information from that specific user. So for instance, I don't know, a 20-year-old won't interact with your app in the same way with a 60-year-old. So yeah, definitely you need what are you trying, which is the most broader type of customers that we have, and for which one of them you're providing, you're trying to find the problems they have. So also, it's very important to back up the information you have gathered with more data. So, for instance, if you're doing user research or you're getting surveys results, you need to double check what your users are saying, and if you have more data in order to back it up. Which is always safer. The idea is to reduce risk at the maximum, the risk of implementation, and ensure that you are solving the right problem. So yes, another thing, in order to validate ideas and hypotheses, yes, I was seeing that someone was commenting, yes, MVPs is the minimum viable product. So is basically what is the minimum that you can build in order to get insights from your users. One thing that you have to, and this is part of the discovery phase, and of course you are presenting this to users and you're getting feedback, and you see how we're interacting with it. So that's why I've added this as part of the discovery phase. So once you've done the research and you have some insights, what you want to do is to start to build the full application. You want to start with something very basic. So what is the minimum? What is the pain you're solving? So what is the minimum value that you can give to an user? And I'll talk about that later. So for instance, MVPs help you to know if you're heading in the right direction. So if you're building the right solution, if you need to pivot. For instance, imagine that we provided a personalized experience and we spent a month on it. And after a month, we launched to users. And then we realize that it's not being used. So definitely an MVP or a very basic solution of that. For instance, I don't know, try with a newsletter and see if people are replying to your personalization items that you're proposing them, or if they are buying or clicking on the CTA. So this is a way of validating that your idea is right. So. Or not, or if you are in the right direction. So yeah, this is a way to help you with knowing if you're building the right solution. So I see this is not charging, but what I have here, yes, sorry about that. What I have here is basically, I don't know if you've seen the process of an MVP. So for instance, imagine that you are trying to build a car. Yeah, you start with the wheels. That is not an MVP because the wheels don't help sellers to don't help users to move, because the main if you're building a car, what you're trying to solve or the problem is that the person wants to move faster or to get faster to some place. So maybe an MVP idea of that would be to start with a bike, for instance, and get the feedback from users. I don't know, I like the bike, it's helping me to get me to this specific point, but I don't like it because it rains, it's not so fast, and I get tired. So definitely, this is something for you to bear in mind whenever you're doing MVPs. For instance, it's not about how would I say, about doing something. Sometimes in product management we do this a lot, okay, let's start, we put something in production, something very, very specific, and then we start putting more stuff. So basically the basic is to start something that is useful. And normally one thing about MVPs is that they are disposable. You can end up throwing them away. Okay, they probably won't turn into your main feature. And another example of MVPs is also, I'll just go back. Another example of MVPs, for instance, is start with a low fidelity design, for example, which is a very basic design to get feedback from your users. Okay, so and gather the feedback based on that, and then you will improve your designs and the feedback. And a basic prototype would also help you. So anything that is more tangible and somehow users can do something with it. Okay, so this will give you insights and information, and it will help you to build the right to solve the right problem. If you would also like to explain you more or less how we do it at Mano Mano in terms of timeline and the fact that we are not using OKRs. Normally we start with research phase 2 months in advance. So for instance, if you have to do a roadmap for, I'm already working on the roadmap for next year. And yes, we already started to do the exploration phase, what we call. So exploration phase is mostly based on what I've just mentioned, talking with users, doing user service. So right now we are in the full process of doing the exploration phase for next year. So what we're basically doing, we're just researching what's the problem, where we want to do some changes which will help the business, or we think will help the business. And we haven't started building it. What we are basically doing, we are just putting time aside. We have a researcher in the team, and yes, we just think well the questions to ensure that they are not biased questions, to ensure that we are attaining the right objective. Sometimes it's also very complicated because in our case, for instance, with sellers, they may start, you want to investigate something specific, but they may start complaining about other stuff, so it's a very good app to follow up. So just let them know, okay, this is about this specific objective. I want to know more about how you do in this specific page, or this specific area in your profile. How do you manage it? And then yes, we can do a follow-up meeting to talk about your other issues, because complaining is good. So as I mentioned, the users you learn most from are the ones who really struggle, okay, or who really are very vocal about their experience. And this doesn't happen very often. Normally we are vocal on online environments or on internet, but it's very difficult to get them comfortable to say stuff to you in person. So and also once we gather this data, basically you have the qualitative data, and maybe you map it into quantitative data. So you need to know how many users you've interviewed, you've researched, and make sure, okay, we have this many users. Is this is this enough for us to be counted as a representative or not? So you need to make sure, just as when you do a test, for instance, you need to make sure that the most of the users want that specific feature. So definitely that's where your effort should be put on. And yes, all the input is gathered and processed into design in first place. Design decisions, such as I mentioned, a very basic prototype, and maybe a low fidelity design, and then to an MVP to gather feedback. And then finally, the development of that specific feature. So the idea in order to do this is, as I mentioned, is lower risk of not adoption, or also ensuring that the functionality you're building is solving the right problem. So yes, this is basically the feedback cycle restarts again. So yes, so that is the main thing I would like for you to take away from this meeting is you need to start with the research, you need to start with the problem, and you need to focus on that. So don't straight away go to ideas. And I'm saying ideas are not good. Ideas are good, but you need to make sure that you are solving the right thing. So your users will have the solution to that, will have the answer to it. And yes, sometimes users won't tell you directly what they need. For instance, I don't know, Henry Ford, for instance, say, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. But you need to know, as a researcher or as a product manager, you really need, for example, you back into everything with I don't know, benchmark from your competitors, what just this knowledge you have in order to make the right decision. And once you have that, just build something that delivers values in first place, and just start to iterate from there. And yes, that's pretty much it, what I had for you today. And I'm looking forward for your questions.
Thank you, Cristina. Any question from the audience? A big applause first. Even if it's online, you have been talking for more than. So, any question?
Yes,
no?
maybe.
Sorry. I have a question here.
Okay.
If I can.
Claudia or Cristina?
Cristina.
Cristina, perfect. Go.
And maybe it's a stupid question, okay? Because I'm not used to the abbreviation. Maybe in one of the slides at the very beginning,
Yes.
You say user research and discovery always come first, and then you said not OKRS. What is?
Okay.
What is it?
It's objective key results. So many companies, many companies are working with OKRs, which is a very specific objective. So for example, throughout a very specific year, I don't know, next year, we should work on improving, I don't know, users or having more users on our platform, or we need to improve. So very specific objective at the company level. So normally what happens, because we have this process in the companies, you normally just get too stuck into it. Okay, I just need to do the OKRs. I need to look for the initiatives, and you start just the process itself kind of obliges you to come up with solutions. Then you don't really know the problem. Okay.
Yeah. So, thank you.
No, you're very welcome. You're very welcome.
I have one question.
Go.
I wanted to ask you, in your last slide where you were talking about your researching mano mano, you say that you turn qualitative data into quantitative data to make a decision. So I wanted to ask you, how's the process, or which method do you use to do that?
Yes, normally what we do is basically gather all the information. So we gather all the, for example, if we did a surveys, all the numbers from the surveys, and basically it's a very manual process. For example, we use mirror boards for that, and we get very specific input. For instance, I don't know, we do post-its. Okay, this user has this problem, this user has this problem, and then you will unify all the users that we've interviewed to see which is the main problem that all of them said. So at the end of this mapping, what we have is a specific number of problems and how many customers have that problem. So in order to ensure that we tackle the problem that it's most common and the one that needs to be tackled first, to be prioritized first. So basically, that's what we do. We gather the insights, and then we add it to a Miro board or even an Excel. So we say we interviewed this many sellers had this problem, and then you just check the results and see what is the number of sellers. I'm talking of sellers, sorry, because I work on the seller side of the marketplace. So yes, sorry about that. As you know, marketplace are two-sided marketplace. So yeah, that's what we do. And then we have, I don't know, 300 sellers, which is this percentage of the sellers we have are requesting for this or needs this or struggle with this specific problem. Okay, struggle with this. So you really know what the problem is.
Thanks.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Kate, are you there to do the question, or do you want I read it? A ver. No. Bueno, I can read some questions that I have in the chat.
Okay.
One of them is, how has your user testing changed after switching to remote working during the COVID?
Yeah, so basically now what we're doing, yes, in terms of user testing, we're using definitely more tools, more online tools. And in terms of research that we're doing, most of the interviews are done via Zoom, which is not the same. I mean, because you don't really you really need to make sure that they feel comfortable and laid back, and they feel in a safe environment to be able to share what they exactly think. And what is the most complicated part, this is the part, because if they don't feel comfortable, they won't give you the right information. No, so probably be very very short answers which are not providing you very specific insights. So yeah, and Hotjar, it's one of the tools that we use the most within the company. So in order to see how users interact, and yes, many usertesting.com, and also these are the main tools.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Okay, let us know if that answered your question. And then we have a question from Bianca. I don't know if you are there, if you want to do it by yourself, or I can read it. Are you there?
Hey.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Thanks for the information.
Thank you.
So yeah, my question is, how would you validate a business idea of developing a new app, for example? I mean, I know the problem is there, I see it all around me, but I would like to understand a bit the adoption of the app if we create it. So do you think like surveys amongst friends would be enough, or would you go for more?
Yes, yes. I mean, I think friends are not a very good. Normally, friends. I would avoid friends at all costs, because friends normally want to. Yeah, exactly. They know you. Yes, exactly. They know you, and they say, okay, you want to know if your idea is good or not. You don't want to hear, okay, somebody doesn't want to hurt you. So I wouldn't go for friends. I would go for users. Definitely. Yeah, more remote people. Maybe just find a platform online where you can do that type of research, or just, for instance, here with us. No, you can ask us in general.
We're friends. I mean, we're friends.
Yes. Thank you so much, Bianca, for coming. And yes, related to the app. I mean, do you need an app? That is the question.
I mean, the product would be an app. The new product would be only an app.
Okay, so yes, one of the apps we get in a very tricky area, because there are many web apps. So adoption of apps, it's quite difficult. So you really need to make sure that it's of a daily usage of it. So yeah, we just go for a basic prototype. There are many websites who can help you to build something basic, even if it's a web app. No, because if you build an app, you have to. Yes, it's a very long process, and of course, you need to ensure adoption in order to gather feedback. Yeah. So I would start with a web app. At the end of the day, you're trying to solve something very specific. You are trying to solve, I know, this person needs to find a house, or this person needs to find a job. So you're already doing that, and maybe you can start with the web, which is easier, and see if the adoption increases and users are using that, go for an app. So yeah.
I will investigate a bit more. Yeah, I come from another world, from a CRM world, so I still need to figure out some stuff from your world. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
We have another question here from Lucica. Can you do it, or I read it? Are you here?
You can read it if you want.
Bueno. Hi, Chris. I want that you interact sometime. Hi, Cristina. How do you recruit relevant users for your interviews, relevant to your business?
Yeah, so basically, for instance, on the seller side, one thing when I started at the company, I started to do interviews just with random sellers. So, but then I realized that it was the very different type of users. So we had different types of users. This being said, we had different types of sellers. So we had bigger sellers who probably were managing bigger volumes of business in Mano Mano. And then we had very small sellers. So at the end of the day, these sellers had different needs. Okay, so definitely when I was asking this very broad question, I realized, okay, what I'm trying to get here, which is this very specific feature, which is mostly, if we do a feature, is mostly for the sellers who probably bring more benefits to the company. So I need to talk with these people, not very random people who are available to talk with me. So yeah, that was one of the findings. So I would say to have a very defined audience or target of users that you are trying to solve the problem, from whom you are solving the problem, or who is suffering the problem, and for whom you want to solve it. No, because this is also, you're putting resources on it. So should I solve problems for very small sellers who are not bringing benefits to the company? So I won't do that. No, probably in the long run, when I have, definitely I'm ensuring that the big ones who are managing, who are using the website on a daily basis. Yes, yeah, but yeah, definitely it's defining the persona, no, of the one you are trying to gather information from, and for whom you're doing that. I don't know if this answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Lucica.
Any other question there? No?
Cristina, I see you're thinking. Or not? Yeah, this is a conversation. So I mean, it's not relevant. So how would I say? This is just the way my approach to it. So if there isn't a very specific, I wouldn't say that you have to do the same. For instance, I was talking, also had the chance to give a talk in Myanmar related to this topic, and there was this boy in the group who asked me, "Oh, but you know, I'm a developer myself, so I can do the full app, for instance, and I can test it." So I'm saying what we're trying to do is to do it in the cheapest way, and the one that takes less effort. So if for you are a developer and you can build that thing in 2 days, it's perfect, and users can interact with it and get feedback, rather than go with a probably not interactive prototype. So yeah, that's definitely an approach to it. Doesn't mean that it has to be very specific, but for bigger companies, when yes, time is money, you definitely need to, if you're investing time at a company level, it has to be in something, a solution, especially it's developers' time, which are the most expensive, better paid people in the company. So yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, but their time, you know, so you need to ensure that they're putting the effort in the right place. So yeah. So yeah, I'm happy to hear other insights of it. So this is for me the approach, but yeah. How do you decide? Okay, how do you decide the MVP is actually minimum? So at which point? No, at which specific point? Yes.
Yeah, so my question was, you mentioned, I think, that in your previous company you used to consider an MVP something that would take you 3 months to build,
Yeah.
Which doesn't feel like a
No.
actual minimum.
No.
So how do you decide? Okay, this is realistic enough, but still a minimum, the minimum I need to do to actually test this prototype.
Yeah, so probably I would just go with the main feature, no? Because we start with a very, for that case, we are building platform to find jobs. So, and we started. Definitely, it was not the right thing to do. So, so we started with everything. Now, with the users, I would say customers. In this case, yeah, users sign up to the platform and all the form to sign up and so on and so forth. When our business idea was, we were trying to solve a problem, which was finding a job. You don't need the ID or whatever the phone number of that specific person. If you're doing marketing and you want to see how many people are signing up to your platform, of course, you need to, I don't know, go viral and try to get as many users. But if you're trying to validate something, so what is your unique selling proposition? No, okay, I'm trying to help people to find a job. Okay, how do you do that? So just provide them, I don't know, just provide them with several websites. You just gather all the websites that are providing jobs in the same place and see if people are applying through that. You don't have to do anything. You just do a script and you just gather all this information together and you just provide a unique place where people can find and apply for jobs. So you need to see what are you trying to do there? What is the minimum? Do you need to have all the full profile of that person? No, probably in this first phase, no. So yes, what is your unique proposition, and just try to solve it.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Any other question? No?
No, it's not, sorry, just me again. It's not a question, it's just that I don't have, for example, Cristina Crucianu.
Yes, yes.
No, I would say that if you can share your LinkedIn link.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I will
Yes.
do it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
If you go to the talk in LinkedIn, you will see her and me.
Oh.
And it will be good that you follow all of you, follow each other, so we can help you in the future.
Okay, thank you so much.
As a community. Hello, ahí va. And I also share my mail and my LinkedIn in the chat in case you want to hear more about the courses, even to talk about your career objectives. Sometimes it's not needed that you are sure that you want to do a bootcamp or whatever. It's really without compromise. You can set up a call with me if you send me a mail or a LinkedIn message, right? Okay. So we have, as I say, a LinkedIn for the university, but also a group of women in tech. All Women Tech is a group in LinkedIn if you want to be part of that. And thank you, Cristina, for preparing all this talk and share your knowledge. I think it's very valuable. And also thank you all these ladies to be here, all of you to be here, because it's a Friday night. It's not that we have big plans, but sometimes we are at least tired. So to be here and listen Cristina and technology talk, it's very nice to see this type of movement.
Yes.
So
Thank you so much too for having me, and yeah, feel free to get in touch. I'm happy to help you out more if you need, and I'm sure I can learn stuff from you too. So yeah, it's sharing knowledge and learning together. You know, this is an ongoing journey; it never ends. So.
Okay. So we will be in touch. So thank you very much. Enjoy your weekend if you can.
Thank you.
I will be studying data science tomorrow, but I will try to enjoy a little. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.